we didn't establish rhythm in the beginning of the second half. We had a couple of drives killed by penalties, holding penalties. It's catastrophic. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to do that because I sent enough money to New York.
All right, that does not mean here on Steelers Live we cannot talk about it. And joining me as two people who would most likely love to do that is Bob Labriola and Tunch Ilkin.
They can't fine us, can they, Tunch?
No, they can't fine us. And let me tell you something. I've been fined by the league.
Yeah,
and now I have, I have the freedom.
It's more than the $50 you
know
got
what?
fined in the 80s.
I got fined $500 for fighting and $500 for entering the fighting area. Me and Wolf did because of that game when Glanville and Chuck almost got into it after the game. And we had Coach Knoll as our defense attorney in front of the head of the NFL, Joe Brown, and it didn't work. And the funny part about that was Chuck had the film, and he said, look at this. He said, if you don't let them protect their teammates, you in essence emasculate them. And Wolf goes, emasculate? And I go, I'll tell you later. And it was, so I feel the freedom to say the officiating was awful. It was terrible. Someone had to see that Sam Tevi's illegal procedure. It was so blatant. It was so obvious. Even if the guy that makes the call didn't see it, everybody else should have seen it. And everybody in the stadium saw it, and it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, if I would have done that in my career, there's no way I would have got away with it.
Well, Mike Hilton said in the locker room today, guys, that they all just pretty much assumed on defense it was going to be blown dead. Obviously, you need to still play through it, but yeah, that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You've got to play through it, but Missy, that's easier said than done. When an offensive player jumps, it is whistled dead. And so you see the jump, you in essence, you wait for a second, or you get a little bit more casual, if you will, and it's easier said than done. I mean, it should have been blown dead, and someone should have seen it and said, okay, hey, or someone from New York should have said, hey, throw the flag, you save face, it's no big deal.
Maybe somebody will get fired.
You know what?
It's happened.
I'm not going to feel sorry for them.
Me neither.
Because they should have said, someone should have done. I was waiting. I know that you can't do that, but I was waiting for someone to do something about it. Go, hey, wait a second, we were wrong. Sorry guys, let's throw the flag. I just, it was just too obvious. If it was a rolling start, sometimes offensive linemen, quick to count, and they're just a split second, maybe offsides. Well, if it was like that, then I understand it. But that was so bad. It was so blatant. And then don't get me started on the. There were two clips on the punt return for a touchdown by what's his name, Desmond the King. Desmond King had that touchdown. There were two clips on that, and they were not called. And so the officiating was horrible.
Should we talk about the field goals?
Well, I was just.
Where do you want to go, Labs?
Well, I was just going to say, I forget his first name, Schobert, the linebacker for the Browns.
Yeah, Joe Schobert.
Joe Schobert, right after the game was over. And Joe Schobert, I mean, he's not a Steelers fan.
Right.
Obviously, he plays for the Browns. He tweeted out right away that the guy's name is Mike Wint, the Chargers long snapper. He said he does that all the time. He said, we brought it to the officials' attention, and they said, he's been doing that his whole career. We're not going to call that. So, I mean, this was something that this guy does. And then another guy from one of those, it's not Pro Football Focus, but another one of those websites that kind of grades and goes over video of games. He did the same thing and said that, and on the second two as well, it was like a false snap look that he was giving, and that's a penalty.
You're not allowed to squeeze the ball. You're not allowed to squeeze the ball. You're not allowed to move the ball.
They called the penalty for that on a Dallas player. I don't know if it was Thanksgiving. It was one of those primetime games, La de Sour.
Yeah.
They didn't call it. I mean, you know, I got nothing else for you.
All right. Well, we can't blame everything on the officials.
No.
The Steelers deserve some credit
I'm
too.
tired.
So
Can I blame it on them?
Yeah, sure. But we have a lot to go over. And just to kind of put this into perspective, the Steelers have not blown a 16-point lead since November 8th, 1981. That was against the Seahawks, led by 18. And Pittsburgh has never blown a 16-point lead.
One of us
home.
played in that game.
Well, I wasn't going to name names. I
Oh,
thought it was just, okay. Well, Labs isn't one of those
funny,
moves.
I don't remember that game. What was the score and what year was it?
But I don't think, especially coming out of halftime, knowing that the Steelers' offense was getting the ball back, that the second half was going to turn into the second half that it was.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, the domination of the Chargers in the first half, 2 yards rushing. The Steelers had twice as many first downs. The third down conversions were way in favor of the Steelers. If you take off Phillip Rivers' yardage to Travis Benjamin on that touchdown pass that shouldn't have counted because of the penalty, he had 100 yards passing. The Steelers, their offense scored on every possession. The only thing you could really say definitively negative about the Steelers' offense in the first half was Chris Boswell missed an extra point. And they shut down San Diego's offense. It should have been a shutout. It was just beyond my comprehension that it would flip so dramatically the other way, and that's exactly what it did. In the second half, the Chargers scored on just about every possession. The Steelers couldn't get a first down. The script just flipped. And one of the things that I've been reading in the asked and answered submissions is, why didn't the Steelers make any adjustments at halftime? Why would you adjust at halftime if you've held them to 2 yards rushing and barely 100 yards passing? What's there to adjust to? Why would you change what you were doing that was working like that? So, there are things, and that was a huge play there too. It looked like the Steelers were actually going to get a takeaway. But a little friendly fire there, and it ends up a touchdown. Not only do you not get the takeaway in the end zone, but it ends up on the scoreboard for the other team. Weird game.
It was a weird game, and I agree with you, Labs. I don't know what happened in the third quarter, but one of the things that happened, everyone's talking about Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen had a great game, but the guy that hurt the Steelers the most, I think, is Justin Jackson. They totally bottled up Austin Eckler, the number one running back since Melvin Gordon got hurt. And Austin Eckler did nothing. Then they bring Justin Jackson into a game, a rookie from Northwestern, a 7th-round pick, really kind of a practice squad guy. And, boy, he just busted loose. The Steelers couldn't tackle him. One of the things that Eckler does a good job of. I mean, he's a small, compact power runner. He's got really, really good speed. He's got a little bit of shiftiness. But, the Steelers did a great job of tackling him and plugging up the holes. When Justin Jackson came, he did a lot more of the cutback, and he caught the Steelers in over pursuit. And as the game wore on, guys were trying to make plays, and he made them pay for over pursuit. And he had the big game. I mean, he was the guy that hurt the Steelers. We're going to diagram his touchdown run, and it was kind of the proverbial last, nail in the coffin. Yeah.
All right. Well, not to be a Debbie Downer, before we get to Chalk Talk, we have to talk about the Steelers' injuries from during the game. We will do that when we return right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Ben, what's your concern level now when you look at the loss last week and then losing a big lead tonight? What's your level of concern with
None.
where this team is right now?
None.
Why not?
Don't need to panic. Don't need to worry.
All right, Ben might not be panicking, but I know Labs is, as the Steelers
No,
have lost
living in
their
my
last
fears.
2 games. All right, kind of the same thing.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, let's talk injuries, though. There was a number of them that Coach Tomlin mentioned yesterday after the game. I'll just go through the list and we can talk about each of them individually, even some of the guys that were inactive as well. But Justin Hunter, shoulder injury, knee sprain for Cam Canada. James Conner has a contusion on the lower leg. Ryan Switzer is in the concussion protocol. Anthony Chickolo has an ankle. Joe Hayden wasn't named after the game, but of course we saw him got hit by Sean Davis, He was checked out, but it was clear to get back into the game. So where would we like to start with this list?
Well, the one that, I think is a significant in terms of it's going to need to be addressed proactively is Cam Canada. I mean, you only have one long snapper, and you can't get along without a long snapper. Punts, extra points, field goals, all of that stuff. That operation needs to be smooth. It needs to be professional. It needs to be under a certain amount of time in order for the kicks to get off without getting blocked. And so, a sprained knee, which is how it was talked about yesterday. That to me means that there is some degree of tearing in a knee ligament. Again, I'm not saying he can't play on Sunday in Oakland, but that's something, as I said, you have to address it. You have to have a contingency plan for that guy. And the other one you didn't mention, Bud Dupree. He played.
Right.
And according to him, he has a partially torn pec.
Correct. That's what he said
So
on Friday.
that's not a good thing.
No, you
That's
can,
a lot of pain.
especially as an outside linebacker, you got to club a guy,
Right.
you got to reach a guy, and that pec could tear more. So I was surprised that he played.
Matt Filer too.
Yeah,
with
Matt
a
Filer.
a
Yeah,
similar kind
offensive lineman, you can play with it because
Okay.
you're inside. But defensive linemen, especially outside linebackers, you're more outside the body frame. Offensive linemen should be inside the body frame, and so it's less stressful on an O lineman.
Did you see who the backup long snapper was?
Vance McDonald.
I was quizzing
Oh,
him. I knew that you knew.
We were watching him warm up.
Yeah, I remember a game in 2008 where the backup long snapper saw some action.
He was there last night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. He was there exactly.
He probably thought.
didn't work out so well.
Yeah, he snapped it in the Allegheny River.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I say something needs to be done proactively to be prepared for whatever eventuality might befall them at that position, because there's no depth chart.
It
at long
used to
snapper.
be backup centers were the long snappers. And, I was not very good at it, and so I never did it in a game. But I worked on it every day, and I went out for pregame and long snap. It was me, Ray Penny, and Webby. Webby was so good at it, even up to his 15th. Well, no, I think Matt Turk came late in the 80s, or Dan Turk. Yeah, Dan Turk came, and he started doing the long snapping. But what the backup centers all were long snappers.
All right, the James Conner one. I know we're not going to know anything definitively until Coach Tomlin tomorrow at noon, which we still might not know the extent of everyone's injury. But Jalen Samuels stepped in. We didn't really see Stephen Ridley. Do you feel like if there is something with James Conner and he can't go, that Samuels can't step into that position, Tunch?
Jalen Samuels? Yeah, I'm thinking. I'd like to see Stephen Ridley more. Ridley runs with attitude. He's very physical. I like Jalen Samuels from a standpoint of coming out of the backfield and catching the ball, and as the third down back. But I think my first down back would be Stephen Ridley. Just from a standpoint of experience, and I would give them both reps. If James can't go, I would let them both play and see which one develops the hot hand.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be a one-man job replacing James Conner if it comes to that. I think it would be, a two-man job, and possibly they would be used the way Tunch just described. So, hopefully we don't ever have to find out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that Jalen Samuels can't do it, but what I am saying is I'd like to see Stephen Ridley because I've watched him run throughout his career, and I think he's an effective runner.
As we say, Coach Tomlin's press conference tomorrow at noon, we'll learn more about that laundry list of injuries that we went over. But Tunch does have Chalk Talk for us today, so we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, he'll be at the Telestrator. All right, as promised, we are at the Telestrator for this week's edition of Chalk Talk. Hopefully you have some good stuff for us here,
Well,
Tunch.
you know, the first play, and this is why you run when you're close to the end zone. This is James Conner's touchdown, and what they're going to do is they're going to run a play that we used to call 35 lead. So there's going to be a double here, and there's going to be, so the San Diego Chargers are in what we call the bear defense. You see the defensive ends are on the outside shoulder of the guards, and they bring extra defensive ends, Joey Bosa, and I forget the guy on that side. I can't see the number, but Melvin Ingram, their outside linebacker / defensive end, he is playing inside linebacker. So what you're going to see is a double here, and Marquise Pouncey does a great job, and a double here, and then David DeCastro bleeds off and gets the linebacker. And watch the job Rosie Nix does lighting up Melvin Ingram. Great play. Let's get ahead and start it at the snap of the ball. There's already a hole here. Look, there's already a hole here, but watch this right there. And the snap, boom, man, he just knocked the snot out of him. And look at this. This is the other thing look at this alleyway right here. I mean, he fell in and got a touchdown, and the line tripped him up. And so that's why I love to run on the goal line. All right, now this is AB's touchdown. And what you're going to see is, number one, here's Ryan Switzer. Here is Juju. Here is AB. And Ryan Switzer is going to try to chip Rochelle, the outside pass rusher, to give some help to Matt Filer. Now, Rochelle is going to toss him. Juju is going to run a post and then a far slant. You're going to see AB run an out, up, post, and then he is going to flatten out in the end zone. And let's take a look at that. And great job right here by Ryan. He just gets up again and he starts running in the pattern. Now, the thing you love about this is Ben is going to launch this right when he gets to the left. Now he throws the ball, and watch the way AB is going to come and catch it right here. And by the way, these guys are bracketing AB, but they're not doing a very good job of it. And AB does a great job of running away from the coverage. And actually, that ball was thrown in between 3 defensive backs. So we're going to they're going to run what we used to call a 3-me game. And at the start of that, you're going to see him chip, and then Rochelle is going to come inside. And wow, that keeps dumping out. Why? Oh, I must have started again. Let me just do this again. This is the touchdown. We're going to take a look at the end zone. I screwed it up. Rochelle's going to go inside, and the loop Justin Jones is going to come inside, and Ingram's going to go in here. Now watch the way Ryan Switzer chips at Rochelle at the snap of the ball. Here he goes, boom, and he just goes flying. But the Steelers do a great job of picking up this twist. And they have been twisting a lot. And look at Ben. Now, Joey Bosa is going to bull rush Big Al, and he's going to get right here. But watch the presence and the pocket presence of Ben. He's going to go out here and launch that cannon shot. Comes to his left. Now watch right here. 3 guys. 1, 2, 3, and that ball was thrown perfectly right in the gap. You gotta love it, and that's why AB and Ben are so fun to watch. All right, this play is not exciting because it's a touchdown it's the 17-yard touchdown or 18-yard touchdown by Justin Jackson, and this is an old play that we used to run, and one of the things that Ken Wisenhunt, offensive coordinator, he runs a lot of the stuff that we ran in our day. That's because he played in my day. And this is what we used to call 15G. And what it means is the tackle, normally the guard's blocking this, the tackle gets the linebacker, but because it's a G call, you're going to have the tackle block down on Tyson Alu, and then the left guard, Feeney, is going to pull and take the linebacker. Antonio Gates is going to block out on Bud Dupree, and there is a nice gap right there. Angle blocking, I think, is great in today's NFL because great job by Russell Okong, and now Feeney kicks out Marcus Allen, and now you missed a bunch of tackles. We're going to take a look at the end zone version of this, and it's the same thing. Once again, we're going to get a down block here, a pull block here, and an out block right here. The snap of the ball, like the way Feeney does. All right, already the San Diego's got the angles. Nice line here, nice lane here, nice block here, and now just good fake on Sean Davis and Terrell Edmonds. Both those guys missed tackles. And now he is off to the races, and nobody's going to catch him. And I told you, Justin Jackson was the guy. If you were to ask me who I felt hurt them the most, a lot of people are going to say Keenan Allen. Yeah, Keenan Allen had a big day. But at the crucial time, it was Justin Jackson that hurt the Steelers the most.
All right, a lot for the Steelers to correct this week. And as we said, Coach Tomlin's press conference tomorrow at noon. We'll be back at 4 p.m. with another edition of Steelers Live, and then coverage as we get ready for the Oakland Raiders this week.
Right. One thing, you got to reload. Forget that game. Move on to the next. There's 4 games. And you got to play last quarter. Yeah, it's the fourth quarter. Yeah.
All right. For Tunch Ilkin and Bob Labriola and Missi Matthews, thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 4.